Alright guys, I'm Greg with Kaivac Tech Support. We're going to make a little video today to show you guys how to use your battery box and troubleshoot some things on your battery box for the AutoVac bat. First thing is the charger. When you first plug the charger in, there's two lights here on the charger. When you first plug it in, go ahead and plug it in so you can see, there's going to be a red light and a green light. So if you plug it in and no lights come on, first thing you want to check is make sure you're plugged in here in the back. Maybe even check a different outlet. But so this is what it should look like if everything's working. If the other thing, if neither light comes on, there's a fuse in the back right here that you can pop out. Check that fuse as well. Now on the front, when you go to plug this into your battery that needs a charge, let me move this up here. So you're going to put it in and give it a little turn and lock it in. So you noticed the green light turned red, and what that means is the battery is charging. You may also be able to hear there's a fan running there. That's the way it should operate. Now if you go to plug this in and the green light does not turn red, it just stays green, the first thing you'd want to check is this fuse here. If that fuse is okay, there's a possibility that you got something going on with this plug-in here. So we're going to show you how to check that. Obviously, first thing you'd want to do is just check your wires. Maybe give an inspection here to make sure you don't see anything going on up there, and burn marks or melt marks or anything. But you may have a loose wire there. So let me show you how to check this plug here. So you're just going to screw this piece off the back and then hold it here and push in here. Now if you look real close, you can see there's a little key there, a little notch here that fits into that notch. So that's really important for getting it back together again. Once you get it apart, you just want to check your wire here, make sure it's nice and tight. Check this wire. This one looks good. All our wires are tight, but let's say you've seen some burn marks up here, or there was some damage and you needed to replace this plug, or maybe you suspect it's in this end you got some damage there. So if you need to replace this plug, what you want to do is get a very small Phillips screwdriver, and there's a little screw there. You loosen that up, you can pull this blue wire out, and if you can tell where this thing is here, so this blue wire is going to go to this plug. Now if you turn it over and have it to where this piece is straight down, your brown wire is going to go to this side. There's a third one here that you won't be using. So you would just remove that screw, put your new plug on, and then put it back together again. So everything looks good here. So we're going to put it back together again. Like I said, you want to line this slot here with that little nub, and then once you get that together, if you look here, it may be hard to see, the two nubs at the top will line up with these two nubs there. So I'm going to slide that on. You may need to wiggle it just a little bit, push it all the way through until it stops. And then take this piece, screw it back on. So this plug-in looks pretty good, so we don't believe the problem is with the plug. So if you go to plug this into your battery box and your light doesn't change from green to red, and your battery box is low, you're going to check this fuse first, inspect your plug, and then the other thing that would cause a similar situation would be on your battery box itself, this receptacle here. So we're going to show you how to check that and eliminate that as being a possibility. Alright, to check this receptacle here, what you want to do is you're going to need a voltmeter. You want to set it to volts and then set it to DC. We've already got this one set. So right at 9 o'clock here, just on the inside, and then another one here at 3 o'clock. If you can see on our voltmeter, we're getting 36 volts, which is good. It means we're getting a reading here, so the receptacle is okay. If you were getting lower than 32 volts, it could mean you got a unhealthy battery. You should be getting between 32 and 42 volts from there. If you're not getting any reading, or if your reading's below 1, then your receptacle is bad, and you may need to kind of move these around a little bit to find the contacts. But you just pretty much go straight in and you'll hit them. So we'll show you here in a minute how to change that if you need to. There's another thing you may need to do, and that's change your battery indicator light. If everything seems to be running good, it's charging fine, your charger's working fine, your vacuum motor's working fine, but whenever you hit your test indicator light, it doesn't light all the way up, even though your charger's telling you it's completely full. Maybe no lights come on. You may just have a bad indicator light and need to replace that. So we'll show you how to do both of those. First thing you want to do is flip this box over, get you a Phillips screw. There are 2 screws on this side that need to come out. There's also 2 on the other side that we need to get out. Now, dealing with plastic, I like to just use a regular screwdriver. A lot of people will use drills and whatnot, but plastic can be stripped relatively easy. With the screwdriver, you can actually feel it a little easier. So take the bottom off. Now, to replace the indicator light is, let me kind of flip it over here. You can see the indicator light is right here. So we got this black and red wire coming off. Now right here is just a little connect. There's a little tab here. You just push down right here and pull them apart. So once you've done that, now what you can do, flip it back around, and with a little flathead screwdriver, just want to pry that off of there. Flip it back. Most of the time you can do it without removing that plate. Sometimes the plastic, the hole in the plastic and the hole in the metal don't quite line up, so you may need to remove that plate. This one here I was able to get. So once you've gotten that indicator light off, you can get you a new one. So what you want to do on the back of your indicator light is a little peel off adhesive here. So we'll take that off. We're going to take the plug end, feed it through. Just want to cover that hole up there. Stick it on there. Flip it back around and reconnect the plug. So that indicator light is ready. So it's pretty simple. You at that point, you go ahead and put your bottom part of the shell on. So if you're going to replace your receptacle, one thing you need to really make sure you're doing is paying attention to these wires. So starting from the battery, you've got red, you got blue, and you got black. So if you use some needle nose, you should be able to get in there and pull those wires off. So just remember the order. There's that one. So take those wires off and remember the order they went. So flip this around and see we've got 4 screws here. So we're just going to remove these on this plate. Now these screws are actually the same screws as the ones that hold the shell together, so don't worry if you mix them up. So we should be able to just pop that off of there. Now, remember your orientation, okay? So you can see the top of this, got a slot. So remember that orientation. So what we're going to do now, we're going to grab our replacement plug. Now, the way it comes to you most of the time, this piece here, you notice, it's upside down, okay? So it's real simple. You just flip this piece around so that it lines up. So now the 2 of them are like that. All right, so you'll notice the flat edge of this nut is right up against the housing of the receptacle. So you won't need to get a nut driver or a wrench or anything. It should just come right out. So you just flip it around with your Phillips screwdriver. Do it over top of a tray or something in case that nut does drop off of there. I keep my finger on the back of it. You can feel when it's loose. So it comes right out. And I'm going to take these screws out. So that's the old receptacle. We're going to take the new one. Go ahead and push our screws through. That. So remember, we got to have the orientation of the cover to the top. We'll take our metal plate, pop it right back in there. Take our, it's actually easier if you don't have it all the way in just yet, just a little bit. Get the nut right up to it. Flat side up, right up against it, hold it with your finger. Get that one started. Get the other one, do the same thing. Hold it with your finger. It's probably hard to see this. Get that one started. So now we're just going to snug those up. Again, we don't have to really torque these down, just until it's nice and snug. Do this one. We'll just pop it right back in here. Again, you see how we've got the orientation of the cover. So there's our screws. Line up the holes. Get them started. And then just take those in again. I like to do this with just a regular hand screwdriver, just so I don't strip out the plastic. It's not that tight. Just take them down until they start to feel snug. There we go. Now, we're going to flip it back over and wire it back. So remember, the red is closest to the battery. Then we've got the blue, the one on top here. And finally, on the furthest from the battery is the black. And then just take your shell, pop it back on there, take your 4 screws, snug them up. And we've got a new battery indicator light and a new receptacle. She's ready.